So, Robocop 3 takes everything good about the previous Robocop movies and keeps some of it and then gets rid of the other stuff. It's very weird. A lot of people apparently hated this movie when it came out because first two are rated R and very gory, very dark. This movie's PG-13 and takes a more comedic version. Like, yeah, there was dark humor jokes and it wasn't all gore and shit in the first two movies, but it was a big part of what made Robocop Robocop. So I'm not surprised the series ended here. You know, it could have got at least one more movie, Robocop 4, but it didn't because this movie didn't do very well. And it wasn't very good either. They somewhat talk about him missing his wife in this movie, but it's not a major plot point in this movie anymore. Lewis almost gets killed like 16 minutes in just to be killed 20 minutes later. So now there's like an hour and something left in this movie, and his partner's dead. They still have some dark humor jokes. They still have some suicide jokes. They still have some dark humor. They still have some of the elements. A lot of it I didn't like though. Like the ending is really corny and also doesn't make sense in universe with an earlier scene in the movie. Because early on in the movie, they compliment erasing. Well, someone they don't just compliment it; they straight up want to do it. They want to erase his memories so he'll follow orders better and be more, in line with what they want them to do. But they don't do it. And the movie, the way they show that he still has his memories, is he refers to himself as Murphy instead of Robocop. The police officer, his partner Lewis, calls him Robo and he says, "Please call me Murphy." And it's like, that's how you know that they didn't delete his memories. Yet the ending of the movie is the most corny shit ever. And it just takes away from that with the ending of the movie being, "Don't call me Murphy, call me Robocop." Like, what? Why? That doesn't sound like the Robocop I know. Um, just really, really stupid. Not to mention the fact that like he's a well-known figure. So this is the full line. I didn't say the full line yet, but um, the ending of the movie, one of the characters goes, like he compliments RoboCop, and he's like, "Your name's Murphy, isn't it?" And he's acting like he doesn't know who RoboCop is, even though he's like the CEO of the company, the new CEO anyway. But RoboCop's like a mini celebrity. Like he's well known. Like he was well known in the sequel. And in this movie, it's established pretty early on, one of the characters literally has a RoboCop action figure. So he's well known. And they're acting like he's not at the end of the movie. It ends like it's RoboCop 1. Like this would be an ending appropriate for RoboCop 1. Not for the third installment, them pretending that we don't know who Robocop is by now. It's just really fucking stupid. There's no other way to say it. The main villain's bland as fuck. And really stupid. Near the end of the movie, he threatens to kill a child and a woman named Lazarus, who's one of Robocop's friends. She's basically replacing the doctor from the second movie and replacing Lewis, and she dies decently early on. For the movie still having an hour left, I would call it early on, even though she dies like 40 minutes in. Um, yeah, he doesn't do it though. He like threatens to kill them. They start hacking into some robots and have the robots kill each other. And he just kind of watches. He has a gun pointed at them and does nothing. This is by far the dumbest Robocop villain who I have no joy in watching. This is not an insult to the actor. It is the script that is doing this. but he's just not fun to watch. He doesn't do anything special. The main villain in Robocop 1 was a lot of fun to watch. And the villains in Robocop 2 were pretty fun to watch. This movie, he's just fucking bland, and I could give less of a fuck about him. He's just evil to be evil. And he's not even fun evil. He doesn't do anything exactly despicable that makes me really dislike the character. And he doesn't do anything to make me want to see more of him. He just fucking sucks. And the most disappointing part, for me anyway, is that they didn't follow up with the ending of Robocop 2. They had ended with the chairman, going to screw over the woman that I think it was implied that they might have been dating. And for her, it was obviously just, to keep her job and be in good graces. And then at the end of the movie, they imply that they're going to screw her over. And she has no idea. And she's like all smug about it. And Johnson knows that she's about to get screwed over. But that goes nowhere now, because apparently the chairman, who was supposed to reprise his role for this movie, read the script of Robocop 3 and didn't like it. So he did not reprise his role for this movie. So that's probably why it took so long for this movie to come out. 4 years after Robocop 2. Meanwhile, Robocop 2 came out only 2 years after the first one. So they don't follow along with the stuff that I was excited to see. So that really fucking sucks. It's just not great. They have Robocop form a bond with this little girl whose parents get killed off screen, and they reveal it when there's like 20 minutes left in the movie. There's 2 actors that I recognize that appear in this movie. Jeff Garlin makes a very brief appearance as a clerk. I know him as the uncle in Wizards of Waverly Place, but I'm sure people know him from other things. At least I think that's the same actor. I didn't look up. I looked up his name, but I didn't look up anything he did. But he shows up for like one scene and has one line of dialogue. The actor that plays Fugues in Barry and was recently Harry's dad in Resident Alien Season 4, Stephen Root. Oh, he was also in Get Out. He plays a decently big role in this movie. It's pretty obvious that he's gonna be a bad guy, because he's just complaining throughout the entire movie about how they're gonna get caught, or this is gonna happen, or they're gonna get screwed over. He just gave bad guy vibes, especially since he's played by the actor of Fugues, who, from everything I've seen, he hasn't played a good person yet. Because literally everything I mentioned, he wasn't a good person in. Barry, Resident Alien, even Get Out, he was like one of the racist people. So yeah, I thought it was pretty predictable that he wasn't going to be a good guy in this. And his story ends with him being killed off screen, but them showing his body. Like, they're like, oh, what are we going to do about Coots, his character name? And they're like, oh, we would have paid him if he was alive. And then they cut to him dead. So I guess they accidentally killed him in the chaos, so he was that pointless in this movie. He just didn't offer that much, and he's such a talented actor. I was very surprised that he was just kind of bland in this movie. Also, Lewis's death was very predictable. I didn't expect her to die just because it's the third movie, but the way they frame it made it pretty much, like I knew she was going to die. Because the scene before she dies, a fellow cop asked her, hey, Lewis, do you want your bulletproof vest? And she goes, no, I'm off duty. I was like, she's going to die. And she does. She gets shot to shit. She should have brought her bulletproof vest. I do not feel bad for her, because even though she was a prominent character in the first 2 movies, she didn't do that much. Robocop's the main attraction to these movies. Even though there's a lot of reoccurring characters, I don't really care about the other characters. I like Robocop. So yeah, Lewis dies in this movie, and it's pretty lame. They also have this one villain that's kind of sexist and kind of just disappears from the movie. He never gets killed, but they kill this random guy who's kind of sexist in the beginning of the movie. I thought that was weird. Like, you would have thought that he was going to get killed in the movie. Pretty early on. I guess it's maybe just so you don't feel bad when he dies. Lewis accidentally crashes into his car during a car chase. So they stop to check on him, and he starts being sexist. He goes, "Oh, this is what happens when you give a broad a badge." And she starts getting physical with him, which just isn't okay, even though he's sexist. Like, I would like this guy to get brutally killed, but I don't want a police officer to, you know, break the law by hassling this guy just because he's saying rude shit to her. He gets shot in the back by some punks called the Splatter Gang or something like that. They don't have that big of a role in the movie. They end up reappearing near the end when there's like 20 minutes left, and they don't even do that much. It's kind of stupid. They kill the one sexist guy by shooting him in the back when he's not even a cop. And then they surround all the cops, and like, why did they just shoot one person and then decide to surround everybody? And he wasn't even one of the cops. They were just like, "Oh, innocent civilian, kill him. Let's surround the cops and wait for Robocop to stop us." Like, why did they only kill one person with a bullet? They shoot one bullet and then they don't shoot anymore. That doesn't make much sense. It's really silly. There's a lot of really silly stuff in this movie. Like, another thing, like I had mentioned earlier about the memory thing, apparently they already have that made. Like, he's like, "Hey, you should erase his memories so he listens to us better and follows orders because he's a robot, he's not a human." And then another doctor is like, "Oh, we have something like that. It just brings something over." So they already have this thing made, but they've just never used it. Why did they make it then? Who asked them to make it? Why did they never use it? And then, she just breaks it with a hammer because she decides not to do it to him. It's just really stupid. um, but yeah, that's RoboCop 3, I guess. They also kind of do Terminator stuff. Like, I'm not saying this movie is a knockoff of Terminator, but they end up having this Japanese robot guy who's like just a full-on human, and then it's revealed that he's not human, that he's actually a robot. And then Robocop gets into a brief fight with him. His fingers get cut off, his hand gets cut off, he gets like knocked down. It's some of the lamest fighting scenes I've ever seen in this movie. Then Robocop just kind of like picks up a gun and blows his head off, and that's it for his character. Turns out that there's more Japanese robots, and two more of them are fighting Robocop later at the end of the movie. I had talked about this a little bit with, the little girl being like a genius hacker that hacks a lot of robot technology in this movie. It's just really weird. Another thing, even though this movie was supposed to be lighter, this movie deals with like separating families with these bad police officers called the OCP. Oh, and they also, obviously they dropped the whole police force on strike thing because the cops are working in this movie. There's like a throwaway line after we already see the cops are clearly not on strike anymore that is meant to, justify it, where the Sergeant Reed goes, "No, we're not on strike anymore." So I guess they gave them better wages, maybe? Or they're just not on strike anymore. I guess they wanted to be cops again. I don't know. This movie, unfortunately, really feels like it's already not that good. Some of it was good, a lot of it wasn't. Unfortunately, it feels more relevant today with the stuff that is going on with ICE. That is all I really want to say about that, is, tearing away families, doing illegal shit, and acting like they're the good guys. It's just crazy. I wonder if anybody else rewatched this movie and thought about that. when watching it, because I definitely did. It really felt like ice, even though I don't believe ice was a thing when this movie came out. So yeah, not a great movie at all. Very disappointed.